What's up, y'all? Let's get over here. Dante, good boy. We're up here where Dante can be off leash safely. So here we are. Today's the 26th of December, 2025. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. This is Dante, my doggy. Beautiful poodle boy. The Dante Dog. This is our main side, okay? Yes, my name is Evan Strong, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. There's 4 sides to In The Image Clothing Company. This is our main side, where we allow the human body to work. We're a clothing company, but really, just because anything that clothes the human being and doesn't do it the only way the human body could ever work, doesn't allow the human body to work. There truly is only one way the human body could ever work, okay? Just being a mechanical machine placed onto a rock in space. That's all it is, okay? I've got these shoes on. These are the Zero Shoes branded Denver canvas black model. I've modified them so they don't look quite like this if you were to buy them from Zero Shoes new, even if they're still available. I think they might be discontinued as of today's date. But they're awesome. They're great. This video's title under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company is The Toes Really Grip. We discuss the anatomy of the human body in depth here under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company, and Dante does it with me as well. He doesn't really do all that much discussing, but he's here hanging out, having a good time, you know, being my buddy. The human body only has one way it could ever work. There's a center line to it. The sternum, the spine, the trachea, the nose, and our jaw. The jaw naturally stabilizes the entire body. So we talk about eating and sleeping, standing, walking, breathing, sitting, hydration, everything we do as a human being, and doing it naturally. But clothing is the only thing physically placed on us, so we're doing all these things through clothing. Okay? Clothing has to stay centered. It has to fit correct, where we discuss under In The Image Clothing Company, not because we got to choose something, but there's a universal human design. Designed in the image of God. In The Image Clothing Company. Anything that clothes the human being and then also just allowing the body to work in all aspects is what we discuss under our clothing company. For the sake of the functionality of the human body. Dante, come. Good boy. Good boy. Good doggy. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy, Dante. I heard a noise and we've got people coming. I don't know for sure if it's horses. It's probably horses with people. We'll keep it rolling though, because we do it as we do. Blunt, bold, raw, and real In The Image Clothing Company style. Okay. I don't know if they're going to cut over here, if they're going to come down the road or what. But I kind of saw them and I definitely heard them. I just don't know how Dante's going to react. He's such a good dog and he's not going to go attacking something, but I don't want him to get attacked by going towards something that maybe isn't so safe for him to, you know? So, it's funny how I started into this video and I said, we've got Dante up here off leash in a place where it's safe. And it is, but you still have to be very intentional. I'll talk about this and we'll get into it, right? But this is really how a lot of our videos end up being. Blunt, bold, raw, and real In The Image Clothing Company. We structure them the way that we do. It's just another date-marked documentation under In The Image Clothing Company is what I say often, okay? Especially around this time. These earlier videos, right around 15 months into the founding of In The Image Clothing Company as of today's date. So, yeah, it looks like they cut over this way. I see a horse, though, right now coming down the road. These guys are probably actually coming down the road. We'll just keep it rolling. We'll do what we do. But anyway, the point is, In The Image Clothing Company Poodles is another one of our fourths under In The Image Clothing Company. We do the same thing for dogs that we do for human beings. We let dogs stay natural, which is the same thing as allowing the body to work. It's just phrased differently because it's an entire separate fourth of In The Image Clothing Company. Encapsulated in all, 4 sides of us. And the poodles do things that we do on all four sides of us as well. But yeah, we let dogs stay natural through all the same ways, eating and standing and sitting and what we place onto them, clothing, right? Being intentional with it. So we'll let these guys pass, and then we'll keep on keeping with this video. But I don't know if Dante's ever seen a horse, so we'll get him off the trail real quick. Come here, boy. Come here, boy. It's okay. You wait. Good boy. Wait. Wait. You stay here, boy. You wait.
How's it going?
Good. Wait, boy. Wait. Good dog. Good boy. Yeah, he did good, as I expected him to. I've just never been with him as he's been around a horse. I don't know if he's ever been around a horse in his life. You know, I adopted Dante just about a week ago. Well, actually, 4 days ago, I officially adopted him, but he's been with me coming up on like 15 days, give or take. Yeah, right around 14 days, 15 days. Anyway, now he marks his territory because he saw horses, you know. But he was so good with them. Okay, we let dogs stay natural. We do it through things like what we do for human beings, you know, keeping collars centered. We have even musculature contracting around our necks. The human body's center line is only there at the bones, the structural skeletal system, like the sternum and the spine, because there's musculature supporting it to be there, okay? The musculature of the body connects from the outside of the body in to the center, and, quote, the human body only pulls, unquote, okay? A video under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company here, but also just the case. The human body only pulls. All the musculature does is take the endpoints where it's connected through tendons, and it pulls them together, okay? Here, boy. Good boy. I trust this dog so much. It's ridiculous how amazing he is. So, good boy. The human body only pulls. We have to have this center line remain, and so we have collars that we have to keep centered. Like for Dante as well. We have to keep our collars centered. Otherwise, the musculature just isn't going to be evenly opposing the center line. Okay? Good boy. You did so good with those horses, man. You did so good. Oh my goodness. Good boy. Good doggy. Oh. Good one, dog. Good boy. One of the best dogs you'll ever meet. Certainly. I mean it. All opinions aside, he's one of the best dogs there is when it comes to what it means to be a good dog. Except don't knock the camera out of the fallen tree tripod, Dante. So, we've got clothing on our bodies, okay? And we have musculature around our neck, opposing the spine, connecting, okay? The jaw is the shoulder, directly. There's musculature and tendons coming from the jaw down to the edges of the shoulders, okay, to stabilize the entire body through the jaw. It connects all through the neck, but it connects down directly to the shoulders as well. So keeping collars centered and leashes, light and minimal, okay, light clothing, do everything clothing, do everything dog products. We breed purebred standard poodles to be do everything dogs. Dante is a do everything dog, as you can tell. That's what I mean. He's amazing. You're amazing. You're a good boy. Good doggy. So, yeah, but the thing with the feet is they oppose the center line of the human body at the base and grip arches inward. to keep us vertical, okay? There's opposition. Since the muscles only pull in the body, well, there's opposing muscles, because we can close a hinge joint by pulling a muscle together, but we can extend a hinge joint by pulling muscles on the opposite side together, okay? Even in what seems like a push, the human body only pulls. We're just extending hinges. If parts of us, like our hand, are going farther from us, we're pulling a hinge into extension. So the feet, okay, the toes really grip. We've got a lot of videos under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company here. In general, okay, we're coming up on 400 videos, but we've got a lot of them talking about the feet. And a big point is 2 points of contact in the feet, okay? If we have feet, then great. If you don't have feet, this probably doesn't apply to you just about at all. There's a universal human design, but we talk about it. If you've got an amputation, deformity, major surgery, or birth defect, anything like this that sets you apart a little bit or quite a bit, in any way, we're all different slightly, but we're all designed in the image of God. He had to first look like us to design us in his image. And there is just this baseline human being structure of tendons, ligaments, muscles, and bones, and it's just a mechanical machine. It really does just have a centered line over Earth's center of gravity, okay? Your center of gravity is a video under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company here, because there's just two sides to things, okay? And the feet are just supporting the entire body. We've got rotations from the fingertips to the elbow, internal rotation from the neutral, and then external rotation from the neutral with the thumbs pointing up, with the elbows bent, okay? Keeping elbows at the natural waist, okay? That's what I'll say for now on that in this, okay? We straighten the arms and we've got rotations, internal rotation from the neutral back to neutral, and external rotation from the neutral. In the entire arms, there truly is only one way the human body could ever work, okay? The human body's just mechanics. A video here under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company, Dante and I filmed just a few days ago. In the lower leg, okay, from the foot up to the knee, straight forward from that pinky toe, just like straight forward from the pinky is the neutral wrist, okay, the pinky finger of the hand, the pinky finger of the toe. You know, but the pinky toe of the foot. Forward is neutral. Dante, come. Good boy. Good boy. You're a good boy. So from that neutral pinky toe straight forward, we have internal rotation in the lower leg, back to neutral. We have external rotation, and then back to neutral, okay? We've got even flexion. From the foot flat on the ground, the importance of zero drop shoes, a video here under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company. Zero drop is the term just meaning flat. Soled shoes, the bottom of the feet, are designed by God to work on the surface of the earth that's just going to be nice and horizontal underneath us. Because the importance of even ankle flexion is a video under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company here. And we have even flexion to the ankle from lifting the toes, dorsiflexion, and pointing the toes, or plantar flexion. The neutral is just the surface of the earth, which is the term zero drop in shoes, meaning there's no dropping happening from the heel to the toe or from the toe to the heel. We're just flat in that neutral from flexion, dorsiflexion and plantar flexion, lifting the toes or pointing the toes, okay? Okay, there's only one way the human body could ever work. In the entire leg, we have a neutral, straight forward from the pinky toe, internal rotation, and then external rotation from the foot up to the hip. You're a good boy, Dante, good boy. There's only one way this thing can do anything, really. The human body, okay? Why you can't stretch the body. A video Dante and I made yesterday here under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company. Muscles only contract. There's just two sides to everything, okay? Opposition in all things in life, like we discussed in the Gospel of Jesus Christ. On In the Image Clothing Company podcast, one of our forwards, we have deep discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ, aka the truth of all things, the good news of God, the designer of the human being and the earth and heaven and all things that in them are. Okay? So what we have is discussions on just life as it is. We're on episode 196 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast as of today's date. You don't have to be religious or believe in anything, but everything's still there if you don't believe in anything. Truth is truth. If things are there, things are there. If things aren't there, they're not. And you can believe whatever you want. It doesn't actually change anything. The only way we can have an opinion on anything is if there's something first there to have an opinion on. The things that are always there and always remain are just truth. Another name for God is truth. Okay? Jesus Christ. Another name for God. Truly. Okay, don't believe me. Don't believe Evan Strong on any information I ever say or give. Don't believe Dante, meaning anybody at In the Image Clothing Company's team. Dante is one of our team members. Human being wise either, though, okay? Just don't believe in anything, and then what happens? Well, truth is still there and always, okay? God, the same yesterday, today, and forever. Just like the human body, just like the feet and the toes really grip. So, yeah, we've just got opposition. The musculature contracts to the center line, keeping 2 points of contact in the feet. A big point of what we talked about there is one foot can be one point of contact, pulling in, opposing the other foot's point of contact, pulling in. Because if we just have one foot and we pull in, whoa, we'll just whip our bodies onto the ground. And Dante's like, what is happening? It's okay, good boy. But if we have one foot pulling in, opposing the other foot pulling in, that's 2 points of contact opposing the center line. Okay, there you go. The feet grip inward. We've got different length toes. Okay, keeping heels on the ground is a video under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company. That'll just happen if you don't have shoes on, no matter what. But then if we have shoes and you just have the importance of zero drop shoes being within your intentionality of what shoes you wear, then there you go. Okay. But the point is that the feet grip arches from the outside in. And the pinky toes are the shortest. So if you lift your heel off the ground with something like heels on man-made shoes, well, first of all, you've just changed the neutral from dorsiflexion to plantar flexion of the ankle, which travels up the entire body, okay, to the tip of the head and the tips of the fingers with just excessive bends and things, okay, out of their only neutral position. There's only one way the human body could ever work. It's just a mechanical machine. It resides in its neutrals. Okay, there's only one way the human body could ever work. Truly, no opinion, no new information. The same since God. Always, okay? But, yeah, if we have our feet flat on the ground, there you go. Your feet can grip an arch from the outside in, because you have to first start from the outside to grip inward. Okay? But what we also have is different length toes, with the outside toe, the pinky toe, being the neutral wrist. Sure, the pinky finger is the neutral wrist, but also the pinky toe is the neutral toe straight forward. And so to keep that neutral, just meaning to keep the body working the only way that it mechanically could ever possibly operate, we have to just keep our feet on the ground. But if you have man-made shoes with a heel underneath them, your pinky toe, just being the shortest, can't even reach the ground. So as the toes try to grip, well, the pinky toe misses the ground. And since it's on the outside and it's the shortest, the foot will go out like this into external rotation. Just half of the body's rotation from its neutral, the other half is internal rotation. Okay? There's only one way the human body could ever work. Keeping 2 points of contact in the feet. Another thing we mentioned in that video, we meaning Dante and I, is 1 foot alone can be 2 points of contact. The different length toes gripping as 1 point of contact, and then the heel of the foot gripping as another point of contact, just in 1 foot. Okay, and here we are, gripped. Okay, arches grip. Stay here, boy. Good boy. Arches really grip. You know, I mean, the toes really grip. Like, that's the focus, is that they really, really grip. We put so much focus on fingernails and toenails. Here's the big point, okay? Toenails are given to us by God. If you cut your toenails too short, you don't have the natural backing and support to your toes, like the fingers. Where grip strength really comes from, it's a video under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company. I filmed down in beautiful St. George, Utah. We live up Utah as In The Image Clothing Company. Stuff like this, okay, for the sake of the nature, the beautiful, diverse nature here in Utah, the state of Utah, the United States of America. Once Dante and I moved down to St. George, Utah, from here, Utah County, which is more central northern Utah, where we are now. St. George, Utah is the very southernmost part of Utah, like southwest, okay? Red rock, desert, sandstone, beautiful, warm, much warmer than here, okay, in the winters. And then in the summers, warmer as well than here. But that video I filmed, where grip strength comes from, it starts at the feet. Grip strength in the fingertips start at the feet on Earth's gravity. Then we come up, and then really it comes from the spine before it can get to the shoulder, out through the arm, and then out to the fingertips. If you want to think about grip strength, you have to travel the chain, okay? Wow, there you go. Through the whole body, okay? From the foot up. The toes really grip. You won't even have grip strength in your hands if your feet can't grip arches, okay? It's just not going to happen. It's mechanics. So, 1/4 of In The Image Clothing Company is In The Image Clothing Company music. And a lot of what we do is show the sizing and setup of guitar to not alter things like the neutral wrist, straight out from that pinky finger, okay? We talk about this, though, just in daily life, the fingernails and toenails. And we also talk about just in daily life, you know, the rounding to our hands that we could call hand arches. They correlate directly with the arches in our feet. And if we don't have natural feet arches, then we can't have our open, round palms. And if our open, round palms and our hands can't be there, our shoulders will be altered, and then our whole body. So everything just plays into everything. The human body can only ever work activated as a whole. Everything's there with a role to play. We can't drag around dead weight. No compensation can be had for something not playing its role by something else trying to do that compensation, because it's all just different functioning. Different shapes and different operations, different reasons for being there in the body. The toes really grip, okay? The toes are the foundation of the entire body. On Earth's gravity, we talk a lot about gravity, okay? Keeping our bodies over Earth's gravity, your center of gravity. Those are 2 videos here under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company. We put a lot of focus on gravity. That's a lot of what we do as human beings, is just deal with gravity's pull on our bodies. And that's why you can't stretch the body, because we just have opposition to front and back, up and down, and left and right contraction of musculature, and whatever else you could say throughout the entire body. There's only one way the human body could ever work. It's just a machine, mechanical operation. It starts at the feet on Earth's gravity. The toes really grip. So fingernails and toenails, we need them cut relatively flat, fully to the tips of the fingers and toes to back and support them. When we cut our fingernails and toenails relatively flat, then we stay in this We stay in the neutral position of the wrist and of the ankle, of the gripped arch height, and from the rotations of the foot, okay? The hands and the feet are basically the exact same thing. Very, very close to just about the exact same functionality in many ways, okay? So, the feet grip. The feet grip or the body doesn't work. The feet grip or the hands can't grip. The feet grip or the jaw can't stabilize the entire body. The only way the feet can grip is with toenails backing the toes. You cut your toenails too short and your toes can't grip the ground. The toes really grip. And I mean, they really grip. 2 points of contact in the feet, it's only going to be able to happen if we can have the feet work in the way the feet work. There is only one way the feet work. A video I filmed back to back with, there is only one way the hands work, down in beautiful St. George, Utah, a little over a month ago from today's date back. Okay, today's the 26th of December, 2025. They're on the main side of In The Image Clothing Company here, okay? So, yeah, there's only one way the feet work. There's just bones connecting to bones. The bones are only shaped the way that they are. And those bones that connect to the bones through ligaments, they have a thin layer of cartilage between them. And that cartilage is cushioning to the joints of the bones, which is just where the bones join. Okay, and there's only one way the bones can join without them damaging each other, because they just, have to smoothly track in line against where they're meeting against the other bone that they're meeting against. So don't go against the only way the human body could ever work. Nobody has any kind of say. It's no opinion that could ever possibly be had. It's just a machine we didn't design, so we cannot decide how it works. And placing clothing on our bodies that doesn't work for how our bodies work is essentially trying to decide how our bodies work. Okay. We get into chronic patterning and scar tissue as human beings over years and years of things like oversized clothing, putting our bodies into just one end of their neutral position, with Earth's gravity just pulling down on them, with the seams not being at the seams of our bodies, the shoulder seam and the shoulder's seam, or the shoulder joint and the clothing's seam. Things have to mesh, pants have to sit in the correct location. Seams on our shoulders have to be in the correct location. Shoes have to be on our bodies in the correct location. We have to have motion in our wrists and motion at our elbows and at our knees and the ankles. Okay? There's only one way the human body could ever work. Anything that clothes the human being, even glasses or jewelry, or anything at all, it just has to work for the body the only way the body can work. Mechanically. Physical function-wise. It's just a robot, basically. Okay? So the feet really grip, but the toes really grip. Okay? The bones in the toes only connect the way they connect. And then the only way we can have the bones of the body, which is its structural system, its skeletal frame, right? This is the support for the body, the skeletal system. The only way it can even move to operate at all is the musculature connecting to the bones through tendons. And muscles just pull two endpoints directly in line. Okay? And so if we're not having our body able to track in its only in line or neutral, right, working positions, the body gets damaged. So oversized clothing will do this. Imbalances of any kind in clothing will do this. In this right-handed world, yeah, oversized clothing, but even just any kind of rotations in clothing, imbalances at all. We live in a right-handed world with 85%, give or take, of human beings being right-handed. And if you're doing things with your right hand more than your left, well, you're on Earth's gravity. Always, if you're on Earth, and it's just going to imbalance your body as you do things on one side of your body more than doing them on each side of your body evenly, okay? But that's amplified by something placed on us, clothing our bodies, the way that God clothes the fields with grass. Clothing's just placed on us. So it'll fall to our dominant side, and if we're right-handed, like 85% of the population, give or take, of human beings are, then now we've just got differences in muscles contraction on each side of the body. And that's an imbalance in clothing, in any kind, right? Rotated seams in modern day. In the Image Clothing Company's rotated seam modification, we give a lot of free modification in clothing. As in the Image Clothing Company, okay? Because we've got a lot of things that just never existed in the past, like rotations and seams. Clothing's stitched by robots nowadays, and so they'll stitch clothing in one direction, flip it around, and stitch it in the same direction. So now you've got two sides of your body rotating toward the same direction, and the feet oppose the center line and grip arches inward. And they have to do it evenly, otherwise the body's imbalanced through all of it, to the tip of the head and the tips of the fingers. But it can be coming from the tip of the head or the tips of the fingers down, and the feet are just trying to support the body on Earth's center of gravity, within your center of gravity. There's only one way the human body could ever work. Dante is such a good dog. The toes really grip, okay? They have to, because if they can't, you can't grip an arch with the whole foot if the toe's not doing it. Imagine you just, don't have any fingernails at all. Or you don't have any, let's go even farther than that and say you don't have any of the tips of your fingers at all. You try to grip with your hand, there's no tips of the hand to grip, and so the operation of the hand will just change so much. If we don't have fingertips, the hands can't really grip. If we don't have toe tips, the feet can't really grip. The toes really grip. I mean, they really grip. And it's something that most people don't really understand so well because of how deep we are in patterning. So, yes, ropes introduced to the body, shoelaces, drawstrings, any rope or anything you could call a rope tied one side over the other in or on or around the body can get the body deeply into chronic patterning where scar tissue builds up in this right-handed world, especially on the right side of the body, especially, okay, pretty well universally, but also it's a rotation, because if you're tying a rope one side over the other, good boy, I just heard a car pulling up and I saw some headlights, so we'll have them on here for right now at least. Good boy. I didn't even say anything. You just came right over. Good boy. Rotations. With a rope tied one side over the other, we're rotating the entire body, okay? And that'll build up patterning in the body. Things like shoelaces or drawstrings for years, decades, maybe almost an entire lifetime, causing the body to have to do all that it can to work around a twist happening when there's a center, 2 rotations, or a neutral, 2 rotations, right? There's a center, 2 rotations, or a neutral, 2 rotations. There's just only one way the human body could ever work. Ropes twisting the body won't allow the body to reside in its neutrals. And what we have at the feet is different length toes that really grip. Watch my feet. As we just extend the ankle or plantar flex the foot / ankle, point the toes, we've got a lot of bones in there. They only connect the way they do. There is only one way the feet work. They just track in line, or they don't work at all. Because, whoa, compensation has to come from somewhere if the feet aren't working. Compensation has to come from somewhere if anything in the body isn't working. Because it's all connected still. It's all going everywhere any of it's going. It only works activated as a whole, or it doesn't work. Okay? Internal rotation from the shoulder to the foot. A video Dante and I made a little over a week ago, probably. Maybe right around a week ago from today's date back. It starts from the shoulders down, or the tip of the head down, the tip of the fingers down, as much as it starts from the feet up. On Earth's gravity, just the functionality of the human body, the feet have toes that really grip. They have to. Hamstrings. The muscles on the rear of our upper leg, they pull down on the rear of our pelvis. Or hip structure. Okay, the hips have a neutral to posterior rotation, tucking the pelvis underneath us, the pelvis going down in the rear and up in the front to get us very vertical. We can come back to neutral, and then they have an anterior rotation, the pelvis coming down in the front and up in the rear, the pelvis kind of falling away from us. Okay. So in this neutral position, what we need to have to be able to get the pelvis to tuck underneath us, really to be neutral, okay, is the hamstrings pulling down on the rear of the pelvis. Okay? The hamstrings will only ever work if the toes can grip. With our different length toes, arches grip in and back. We're just pulling the tip of the toes to the heel of the foot to grip and arch, but the toes are different length. From the outside pinky toes being the shortest, sorry buddy, you sat right on my foot and then I moved it out from underneath you. We come up and in like an arrow to the big toes in the middle of the body, on the insides of the feet. And so as the toes pull back, let's say they're pulling directly back from the toes back to the heel, they actually pull back and in just because the length of them is different. So if we have even pressure on different length toes, then they'll pull back and in, and that causes the feet to rise. And then we get what we call, quote, the height of a gripped arch, unquote, okay? A video here under the main side of the In the Image Clothing Company. In the Image Clothing Company is what I said there, okay? What I tried to say. Didn't say it all that clear that first time. But when you pull back and in with the different length toes, you rise the height of the arch up, and you become neutral then right there at that pinky toe, straight forward. Okay? And so this just happens by the toes really gripping, because that's the 2 points of contact in the feet from that video, keeping 2 points of contact in the feet here under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. The first point of contact in just one foot, opposing the second point of contact in the same foot, has to be either the heels to the toe or the toes to the heel. Okay? And if the toes can't grip to pull to the heel, there's no arch in the foot. And if the toes aren't backed and supported by the nails, there's no gripping happening from the toes. So there's no arch in the feet if there's no toenails on the toes. If the toes can't really grip, the arches can't rise. If the arches can't rise traveling up, your body's damaged. Here's what we have. The toes pulling back activate the hamstrings, okay? Because in order to have our pelvis tuck underneath us posterior so we can be vertical on Earth's gravity, those toes have to pull back. Now here's why. It's the same reason why you can't stretch the body. there's opposing muscles to everything. The ankles bend backward, the knees bend forward, the hips bend backward, the lower back, the lumbar spine, the lowest third of the back, bends forward, the mid spine, the thoracic spine, the mid third of the back, bends backward, the upper spine, the cervical spine, really the neck, the upper third of the back, bends forward. So we've got this bending back and forth very slightly to stay activated in muscles, but vertical on Earth's gravity. That's why there's no such thing as posture. There's just only one way the human body could ever work. Just staying over Earth's gravity, activated as a whole. The feet have to have the toes really gripping. The toes really grip. If the toes can't really grip, then your first bend is already altered. If you just alter the workings of your foot, right above that's the ankle. So then you alter the angle of the ankle. Okay, always stop laces at ankle flexion. I called it the angle of the ankle, right? Right where that angle of the ankle is, that's where we lace our shoes up to, because that's where the ankle flexes. And so that's where we stop weaving a rope across the top of our feet. Okay, there's only one way the top of the feet are shaped. This dorsiflexion, lifting the toes, that's just the top of the shoe. Really, it's the shoe laces, the upper of the shoe, determined by the rope we're weaving in there, okay? So in the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique, it's one of our 2 prerequisites in addition to just talking about where clothing sits for everyone, okay? On this universal human design, man, woman, tall, short, skinny, fat, any age, any part of the earth, any time period to ever be, you're just a human being. Clothing sits in the same location and we discuss it. We also have 2 prerequisites just to not alter the body, things that are very common in clothing. Firstly is in the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique. It's just what we title the only way you can weave a rope across the top of the feet to shape the upper of the shoe, and the rope itself with that weave pattern, the only way the top of the feet are mechanically shaped, the top of the feet is half of their function, lifting the toes versus pointing the toes, dorsiflexion versus plantar flexion, from that neutral, 0 drop surface of the earth. Okay. The toes really grip, otherwise your body's damaged throughout all of it. Because that's the point, okay? Yeah, secondly, our other prerequisite is to remove all tags from clothing. Under In the Image Clothing Company, to not alter the body, in addition to where clothing sits, because tags are just new. Just a few decades ago, they started to put tags into clothing. A lot of reason as to why is because of these unnatural materials. The goal being natural on all 4 sides of In the Image Clothing Company. There's a lot of unnatural, artificial, synthetic synonyms with fake things nowadays, just in life. And we just discuss life and how to really just allow your body to work in life under In the Image Clothing Company. But especially in clothing and in food, you know, there's so many unnatural things. So tags are just new, just decades ago from today's date. They're either causing a physical gap, changing the body's only working position, only working position, only working position, only working position. There's only one way the human body could ever work. It's just a mechanical machine. Truly, okay, placed onto the rock in space that is our Earth. No opinion anyone could possibly ever have. It's the truth, okay? It is cold out here too. Dante and I will go warm up after this. Okay, the feet. In the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique, my jaw just had a release in it. That TMJ area and that ear cartilage really is what it is. Anyway, context for this context. I'm going to get through this because this is big. The toes really grip, okay? And if we don't have that activation of the toes gripping, our ankle angle will be changed just because the shape of the foot arch will be changed, and our bodies will just not be neutral on Earth's gravity's pull, right? Standing vertical on Earth. And so what happens then is if the feet can't grip from those toes, and we change the angle of the ankle bend, we'll change the angle of the knee bend, then we'll change the angle of the hip bend, and then the spine traveling up to the tip of the head. And then from there, out to the fingertips, the whole body will just be changed if the feet are altered. So the feet really gripping from those toes, the toes really grip. Good boy. They allow, then, toes really gripping. That's what's allowing the even activation in musculature opposing Earth's gravity and the opposing bends of the body traveling from bottom to top. Really traveling from top to bottom, but the feet are supporting all of it and the toes really grip. If the toes aren't allowed to grip, your hamstrings can't pull. Because that's the thing, is the hamstrings pull in and back. Well, really they pull back. The hamstrings just pull. The human body only pulls, but the opposing muscle to the hamstring on the rear of the upper leg is the quadriceps on the front of the upper leg. The quadriceps pull to extend the foot forward. That'd be like having the heel on the ground and pulling the quadriceps on the front of the upper leg together to extend, like pushing with that heel. You'll see why I'm explaining it like this. The heel on the ground, like dorsiflexing our foot. Now if we pull the front of the upper leg muscles like this, the quadriceps, and extend the foot forward, it's like we're pushing with our heel. Okay? Like our heel is going forward is the point. I'm saying it like that because on the other end, or the other side of the quadriceps on the upper leg, we've got the hamstrings on the rear of the upper leg that pull back. They pull the foot back like we have our toes on the ground pulling back. Okay, so we're kind of plantar flexed with the toes on the ground, pulling with the hamstring, the foot back. We're kind of dorsiflexed with our heel on the ground, pulling with the quadriceps, the foot forward. Okay? That's just how it works mechanically in a way where we can see it. How what's happening is when the toes really grip, then we're allowed to have the activation be back here on the hamstring, on the rear of the upper leg, if those toes are really gripping. Just because the angles of mechanics, that's how it would work. If the toes can't really grip, the quadriceps are the things pulling. Because the toes are the other end of the heel, the quadriceps are the other side, or other end, if we're saying it like that for this, of the hamstrings. The front of the leg versus the back of the leg, on the upper part of it, on the femur, the upper leg bone, and then the front of the foot versus the back of the foot, which is the toes or the heels, right? These things correlate with each other just because the body's about mechanics. It's just hinges, it's just levers. The ankle lever, the knee lever, and the hip lever, in this case, before we travel up any farther, the toes are going to work with the hamstrings to pull back. The heel is essentially, if we can see it like this isn't quite just how it is in every case, but to show what I'm showing here with the angles of the levers, the heel will work with the quadriceps to extend the knee and actually pull in what seems like a push, but pull the foot forward. From the quadriceps, pulling with the heel's pressure on the ground. The hamstrings pulling with the toe pressure on the ground, pull backward from the toes. The toes really grip. So the toes work with the hamstrings. And what the hamstrings do is tuck the pelvis underneath us, posterior, which gets us more vertical on Earth's gravity. No such thing as posture. The human body is about mechanics, okay? It just needs to work naturally, activated as a whole, and God designed it to work. The human body was designed by God to work. It's just got its natural bends and everything to just keep it vertical, to keep all the musculature working together. It's like what I show you, just hang your arm down at your side. And with Earth's gravity, that's your neutral wrist, okay? Only if your shoulder's in a neutral location, only coming from your feet first. Everything in the body, standing on Earth's gravity, comes from the feet first, okay? The tip of the head and the tips of the fingers come from the feet first, okay? It always starts at the feet. Zero shoes, the shoes I'm wearing, okay, these are the Denver Canvas Black model. Zero Shoes' slogan is live life feet first. Yes. That's why I love them so much. I've got a lot of pair of Zero shoes. Well, I've had quite a few pair of Zero shoes. I have 3 pair of them currently, okay? They're great. And the point is, whatever shoe you ever wear, the toes really grip. Okay, Zero Shoes is a good brand to wear. That's coming from me, Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. Just authentically, me saying that right now. It's authentically, so yes, I mean it. Just because, yeah, I mean, we know how the body works here. Our slogan is allowing the body to work. Zero Shoes is a brand I shout out very, very often and have since the very founding of In the Image Clothing Company, because they know what they're doing with their intent behind their designs. Live life feet first. They do it. They do it well. They do it. The toes really grip. If your toes can't grip, your hamstrings can't activate. If your hamstrings can't activate, your pelvis can't tuck underneath you and it falls anterior. If your pelvis falls anterior, well, your pelvis is connected to your spine and your spine travels up to your shoulders and your shoulders are out of their neutral position. Just on Earth's gravity, there's only one way the human body can stand vertical. There's only one way the human body could ever work. The jaw stabilizing the entire body is above all that. And if the toes can't grip, the pelvis can't be neutral, so the core can't stay activated. The chin can't tuck because the pelvis is the jaw. The spine connects down into the pelvis, and then it comes up and it connects to the base of the skull. The jaw connects into the skull. There's only one way the human body could ever work. There's only one way the dogs could too. Letting dogs stay natural would do the same thing anatomy-wise, mechanics-wise, functionality-wise for our canine companions. Shout out to the Dante dog. It's a Dante dog. This is Dante, he's a dog, okay? He's a standard poodle. He's my dog. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. This is a video on our main side, one of our fourths to In the Image Clothing Company. The title is, The Toes Really Grip, and they do. But the point is, your toes only work the way your toes work. The toes bend backward, okay? It's cold out here, and I've still got flexibility. It's not about flexibility, it's about mechanics. It's about a mechanical advantage. It's about having each side of an opposing function contract evenly to stay neutral. And then you just you just can work. Then there's only one way, and it's allowing God's design of the human being to work. It's letting God's design of the dogs to work, and really letting dogs stay natural. A lot of our information will apply to just about all animals on the earth, not only all dogs, okay? We specialize in purebred standard poodles, but our information applies to all dogs on letting dogs stay natural under In the Image Clothing Company poodles, okay? Everybody and their dogs, right? Everybody has one, or everyone has a body. These are just universal documentations that apply to everyone and will last for literally ever. The truth of how the human body operates in this case, okay? The feet really grip, and they have to, okay? So toenails are a big point. In the Image Clothing Company shoelace technique is a big point. Zero drop, the term in shoes, is a big point. Okay, Zero Shoes, the brand, does that well. Okay, they just design shoes well. Man, do they, too. Man, dude. So the feet, they only work how they work, okay? There is only one way the feet work. And those toes, they bend backward. So, in the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique, what you'll notice, it's okay, Dante, I'm just showing the camera something, is down here at the bottom, right where we very first start the laces to come up, the closest to our toes area of the very bottom of the lacing, it's tucked underneath, right? Find in the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique many places where you can find it, but there you go, I just showed you it quite well there. I was gonna get that leaf off his back and he shook it off. Good boy. It's the only way the feet are shaped. No opinion, nothing to do with fashion. We're not about fashion under In the Image Clothing Company. We're about the anatomy of the human body and allowing it to work, okay? Allowing the body to work. It's our slogan. Under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company here, one of our fourths. And so with that lace, which is just a rope, we call it a shoelace, but it's just a rope, okay, that we're just weaving into a pattern that has to be shaped the only way the thing we're weaving it around is shaped, which is the top of the human foot's mechanical operation, just being bones connecting to each other. The toes bend backwards, okay? And so as we tuck that first bottom part of the lacing underneath the eyelets and it's pressing against the upper part of where the toes meet the forefoot, then as the toes bend backward, there's pressure against them so they can really grip, okay? We just lock the feet in place, man. There's a video, it sounds funny saying it like that. That's just how real it is, because there's a video under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company here. I filmed down in St. George, Utah, a little over a month ago. I was on the beautiful red rocks in my bare feet, and the title of the video is "The Feet Only Work Barefooted," okay? Because really they do. Mechanically, the feet just are going to only work barefooted. We can wear shoes, but shoes just have to be a covering for the feet without altering their mechanics, their physical functioning at all, okay? Shoes just nicely encapsulate the feet as protection without any alteration to the feet. Otherwise, if you alter the feet, you alter the entire body to the tip of the head and the tips of the fingers. Because of Earth's gravity, if nothing else. Because the human body can only work activated as a whole, if nothing else. It's all there. Anywhere any of it is, all of it is. Unless you cut part of you off. I mean, yeah, sure, people have amputations, but you're not worried about the part of your body that's been amputated. Okay? But that's the thing, you know, when we get as close as we can to the universal human design in all of our situations, that's what I mean, is things like prosthetic limbs, a lot of the time it's just to compensate for Earth's gravity's pull on our bodies. Okay? That's what I mean. You know, you can be any kind of unique, sure. We all are, in the ways we are. We just got to do all we can for the physical functioning's sake to get our bodies as close as we can to the universal human design, right? The universal skeletal systems operation. That's what we really do. You know, we get out of chronic patterning and scar tissue. Under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company, that's really the point. With allowing the body to work, it's just ridding things that have come up over time. Bone spurs, you know. Yeah, scar tissue, man. All throughout the body. And the jaw is huge. The feet directly determine the jaw. Those toes really grip. They pull you and tuck you into the back seat of your body. In the back seat of your body, that's the posterior chain of your body. Those are big muscles. Hamstrings on the rear of your upper leg. The glutes under your sit bones. The ischiums, the back or the bottom, the rear of your pelvis, right? The hip structure. Those are big muscles. The whole back, the latissimus dorsi, the muscle connecting from the upper arm bone here on the rear of it, traveling down all the way to the lower third of the spine, the lumbar spine and the pelvis, you know, crest, the top of the hips, or the crest of the pelvis in the rear, the latissimus dorsi muscle. There's one on each side of the back and it spans the entire back. okay? Trapezius muscle, upper, middle, and lower trapezius muscles, muscles between the shoulder blades and the spine in addition to the trapezius, a lot of muscles all in the back. There's so many muscles on the rear of the body is the point. Okay, there's rear delts, there's triceps, there's the calves, and everything back there that's having its activation determined by the pelvis being tucked underneath us, because that's really how we activate the muscles behind our bodies as opposed to the muscles in front of our bodies. Well, the toes are in the front of the body, and they're really gripping back to activate the back of the body. The toes really grip, or else really only half of our body's front to back is allowed to work. If your toes can't really grip, you're going to use your quads, your quadricep muscles on the front of your legs, and your pectoral muscles on the front of your chest. As opposed to all those muscles I said on the rear of the body, there's so many more muscles on the rear of the body than there are on the front. It's just how the body works. It's just how the body functions. The shoulder blades, or the big bones on the upper back, the scapula, they sit behind the rib cage. There's rotator cuff muscles, right? 4 little muscles coming from the shoulder capsule and going back into the scapula and really supporting the shoulders. The shoulders only ever work behind the head, okay? We talked about where clothing sits, and tops sit where the seams on top of the shoulders sit evenly behind the peak of the shoulders. Under In the Image Clothing Company, when we talk about where clothing sits for everyone, the collarbone is the shoulder. The peak of the scapula, the acromion, is the shoulder. And then the upper arm bone is the shoulder. The shoulders follow shoulder seams, and so our shoulder top seams sit behind the peak of this collarbone, coming from the sternum in the front of the center of the body, up and out to the peak of the shoulder, because our shoulders, being connected to the base of our skull through those upper trapezius muscles supporting them, that's behind our head. The spine of the neck and the base of the skull, from the top and the rear of the shoulder on that scapula or shoulder blade, is where the muscle that really lifts the shoulder up connects. The upper trapezius. The shoulders only ever work behind the head. That's just where those shoulder blades sit. Not only behind the head, but behind the entire rib cage. It's expanding and contracting in 360 degrees, meaning just all the way around. We have to breathe. Breath is the essence of human life. Breath is the essence of Dante's life as well. Poodles, dogs in general, okay? Animals, we have to breathe. Most all of us, at least. I'm not speaking for other people, except for in the times that I can. We have to breathe. The shoulders just sit behind the rib cage. The shoulders only work behind the head. The hamstrings grip back and down from the pelvis. Anyway, the pelvis needs a tuck underneath us. And all this happens, right, because the pelvis coming down in the back is the pelvis coming up in the front. And that's activating our core muscles in the front. All of this is happening, man, and we can say more, I guess, like, because it's just the toes really grip. It's coming from the toes. I mean, it's coming from everything in the body. It's okay, boy. Everything in the body is just as important as everything else in the body. But the toes really grip, okay? Because the toes grip back. They're different lengths. The toes open the hips. When the toes can grip evenly, that's how we open our hips. Posteriorly tucking the pelvis underneath us really opens our hips. Okay? Just because the way the upper leg bone is shaped as it comes up and into that hip socket, the ball and socket joint.